And welcome back to Community Focus here on Central Kentucky TV. Glad you could join us today. And one of the things about Central Kentucky is the beautiful parts of our country and the beautiful parts of our county as well. And one of the things that I've got with me today, well, I'm going to say she's the mayor, but she's also the biggest cheerleader for the city of Bloomfield. I've known Rhonda for quite some time. Rhonda Hagan, I appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And one of the things I've always enjoyed about working with you is the passion you have for the city of Bloomfield. I mean, it's not just a job for you. You actually believe in what you're doing over there.
I certainly do.
And what is it about Bloomfield that is so special?
Well, of course, one of the big things is the people there. And they are very welcoming. They make you feel at home, and they just care about each other. Everybody tries to work together and help each other out, and it's got a great tradition behind it too, where that was a part of a way of life then.
Well, one of the things about Bloomfield is you went to Bloomfield 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you come back today, it still looks very much the same, but there's a lot of differences. I mean, you've got new lighting, sewer systems, a lot of things over there that's going on now that may not be as obvious to people, but it still looks like a good hometown that you may have came from 20 years ago.
Oh, yes.
So and I'm sure that's on purpose.
Oh, yes. We want to try as much as possible to preserve the history there.
So when you talk about downtown Bloomfield, I mean, you got a bank, you got the barber shop. I mean, it's not Mayberry, but it's an up. What is it you're trying to shoot for in Bloomfield? Are you trying to hold on to the old traditions, or are you trying to modernize?
Well,
what is it?
It's a little bit of both. You want to try to hold on to the tradition and your historical character that makes you unique the way it is. But we also have to be willing to open ourselves up to what the future, preparing for the future. And so we try very hard to preserve a lot of the historical character, but we also want to make ourselves very attractive for people to want to visit us and also to want to come there and live. Because like you said, we have the schools there, we have churches there, we have restaurants, we have doctors, dentists. We have a lot of what would just be attractive for people if they want to make their home there in Bloomfield.
And obviously, I mean, you were trying to attract new businesses there as well,
sure.
obviously, and that's something that you have to offer. And one of the things about Bloomfield, obviously, it's a quiet neighborhood. Crime almost non-existent over there. You do have a police department.
Sure.
So, and it's again a very friendly place to be, but it's a very quiet place. I mean, one of the things I think you see when you go to Bloomfield that you don't see in other places is it is very quiet there. I mean, it's not, you don't hear a lot of factories roaring, you don't have the smoke belching in the air.
And that makes us attractive too. When people they go to their busy jobs, and a lot of times people work in the, more urban areas, and so they can come back home to the best of both worlds, really. You're kind of out in the country, but you also have a little bit of the conveniences of town. And
for many years, it was known as probably the biggest farming community in Nelson County. Is the farm still there, or are they going to the wayside?
Well, I think in some aspects the farms have kind of shrunk down. They're not as big, and they're not probably as plentiful. A lot of the dairy farms have left. Of course, tobacco, we had a change with tobacco. But we are still a big agricultural area. And as you know, since I've been in office, that is one of the things that I have really wanted to try to promote is a little bit of the agritourism. Because people who live in urban areas may not, I've even talked to some who never even saw a cow until they came to Kentucky or something like that. So it's good for people to see where your food comes from. And I think it's important to try to promote some of that, especially with a lot of the younger generations. They're not familiar with a lot of they think food comes from a supermarket. So it's nice to let them see where food actually comes from.
Well, that's good that they have things like that. And like I said, one of the big things is keeping the town clean. I know that's one of the big things. Litter has always been a thing, and you've always done a good job as far as making sure things are painted the way they're supposed to be. And y'all stay on top of that. Your city council, I know we're working with the city council. People are very meticulous about Bloomfield. Well, obviously you can see the pride.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, you when you want to attract people into your community, you have to keep your community up because that is what is going to draw people. So we want to take care of it and make ourselves attractive, make it a place people want.
Well, a couple of years ago, I know you actually quit your full-time job to become a full-time mayor. So do you have enough to keep you busy every day?
Every day, certainly do. I love what I'm doing. I absolutely love it. And I knew, it was a tough decision because where I worked at was a wonderful place to work. I'd been there 16 years, but I felt like I had an obligation to the city. The people elected me in there, and I wanted to do the best job I could do. I had no idea that it involved so much, but I wanted to work hard at it. So I made the decision, and everything has, it works itself out. I might not be able to shop as much as I did, but it all works itself out.
And that's another thing about it. Obviously, most small towns, you like to shop local, and the business seem to be doing well. I know you've got a couple restaurants there now that seem to be doing well, and again, if you're shopping local, which I know is a big issue with you, that makes the town even better.
Oh yeah, and also promoting more events. Our farmers market and events, because when people come there, a lot of times they can look around and say, "Wow, this is a nice little town. We'd like to come back here." And I've even talked to a few people because we've had some newcomers to move in around Bloomfield in the Northeast Nelson area. And they had no ties to Bloomfield, but they came there and they seen what a nice little town it was, and they wanted to move there. And it's really, that just really touches my heart when I know people have come here just because they fell in love with the community and the people. And we had a lot of good feedback with that too.
Well, it's a beautiful little town. Like I said, you've got the several places or meeting places. Now, if somebody wants to come and have a meeting in Bloomfield, there's places there available for that.
Oh yeah, City Hall and the library.
Speaking of the library, there's a beautiful library there now that wasn't there 10 years ago. So somebody, again, I mentioned it still has the small town charm, but it's got a few advances there that weren't there. I know we just changed the pharmacy here just a few months ago, and a beautiful library, and a big nice school outside there out on Arnold Lane that wasn't there. Obviously, I know people remember the Bloomfield High School there years ago. I remember playing there as a kid, playing basketball, and it's the building's still there, but a whole lot newer building down the road that houses kids.
And they still, and our schools are wonderful. And I don't want to fail to mention our wonderful park too. We are very proud of our park. We have public fishing there, and of course we hold some of our events there. They have Little League and different activities that we can come there. But here recently I went to a forum to talk about healthy living in Kentucky. And we kind of looked at what do we have and what can we do to promote healthy living. And we looked at Bloomfield. I kind of felt pretty good about it because we have a nice walking trail that goes around 3 times around. It makes a mile. And we met today to try to get a grant to get a nature trail to go around the lake. So we're going to be looking into more of that. But we also at our library, we have yoga classes. We have an exercise class that comes in. We've put in new sidewalks to give people more of an opportunity to walk around the community. So, we can look at those aspects of things too. What do we have to offer to give people an opportunity to get outdoors and to get some exercise and do that sort of thing?
Well, if somebody hadn't been to Bloomfield in the last 20 years, what would they be most surprised about? Probably you think that you would, like I said, the life of the city, because a lot of cities are dying. A lot of little small towns are being absorbed by the bigger towns, and Bloomfield seems to be holding its own.
And that might be kind of come as a surprise, is that somebody comes back 20 years later and still sees that
it's still there.
The aesthetics of it still look a lot like they did. And the character is still there of the community, but then they're also seeing some of the new businesses that have come in. And so they could see some changes that way. But as far as the actual, it still has its flavor that it's had.
Now, the sewer project, we'll get into that. I know you're tying into the Barstown sewer system. Now, how's that coming? Is that moving along?
Well, actually, the construction of the project has been completed, okay? And now we're in the process of improving what is already there, because all of that affects us long term with the rates and everything like that, because there's a lot of water that comes in, the infiltration that has to be done. So we're working on improving, relining pipes. We've got 2 pump stations that we're going to work on improving. So we're continuing to make those improvements so that as we look down the road, it will affect the rates and how much water is going to be cleaned up and everything. It's been a big learning experience for me. When I came in, I knew how to flush a toilet. That's what I knew how to do with sewers. And so it's been very interesting to learn. It's been challenging, but it's also been very educational for me. So I'm glad I had the opportunity.
Well, I'm sure it's a learning curve. It's just anytime you come into a job like that and it becomes full time. But again, anything coming up in Bloomfield this year that we need to invite people to come visit, or?
Well, sure. We always are trying to come up with new ideas of things to go on. We started the farmers market last year, and we plan to do that again this year. And on February the 26th at 6 o'clock at our local library, we are inviting potential vendors to come out. We'd like to give them a little presentation and kind of get an idea of what's available out there and who would like to be a part of that. We're also working to possibly get another 5K there, and we'll have the Bark Fest again this year too. So we've got a few activities that we're planning on, and there may be some other things that come down the pike. But anything that we can do to help promote Bloomfield, to get people to come out there and visit us, that's what we enjoy doing.
Like I said, I know that you've been one of the biggest cheerleaders for Bloomfield and very, very vocal about it, and obviously very proud of your hometown.
I certainly do enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate you stopping in here and telling us all about it, and invite people to come visit and find out what the charm is.
Oh yeah, come and see us. Come and see what we have to offer.
All right, Mayor Rhonda Hagan here with us with Central Kentucky TV Community Focus. We appreciate you being here with us today, and anytime you have anything you want to get out to the world, just give us a call. We'll have you back in anytime.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right, well, thanks a lot. We'll stick around. We've got a lot more coming on your Community Focus here on Central Kentucky TV. Kenny Fogel, take care, everybody.